Howdy, everybody. Bob Tallman for No Spin Rodeo. No politics, no BS, just hard-hitting news and rodeo commentary from two of the most trusted sources in our sport. Kendra Santos, Tommy Joe Lucia. Listen up. Here we go.
Well, we made it. We made it to the end. Last day that we'll be right here by the really cool gold carpet, right by the Big Horse and Big Binion with the hat on, and across from the Coronado and South Point. Again, we are welcome to episode 17, and we want to thank Ryan Growney and Mr. Gahn for hosting us. And Kendra's pretty bright-eyed. Greg doesn't look like he feels great. So that's kind of the...
I'm ready. I'm ready for it to be done.
Oh, I'm way ready to go home.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings because part of me, if I had the chance to sit there every night of the rest of my life, I would spend those 2 hours.
I know you would do it. But see, that's why you are rodeo passion here. I love it, but I'm ready to go see my grandson. I'm ready to go home. So. I
love home too, and I've got some wonderful, happy faces there.
How's the house construction coming? Are you gonna? Did you turn all the water off and make sure that you don't go back to water?
It has nothing to do with that. There was a pinhole leak in the wall, like from when we built the house 25 years ago. So there was nothing. There was no water and nothing in it. My house is on the hill. No water. It wasn't because of a storm. It was just one of those things. And I don't know what I'm going to see. I've been living in the nose of Lane's horse trailer, so we'll see what I see when I get home. But Lane and Jane have been busting their butts to get KK back in her house in time for Christmas. And Taylor's coming home, so I'm super excited.
So you're KK?
I'm KK.
I started out, before Asher could talk, as Grumps. That was my choice. Thought it was a cool one. And he's converted it to Tumps now, which is kind of fits my body style. So we're going to go with Tumps because I am, in his world, Tumps. Tumps and KK.
Well, KK was my childhood nickname, and my uncles and my dad and my mom, everybody called me that, and it's short for Kendra K. And so we thought, circle of life, let's just go on back. So anyway.
Greg, you're a grandpa. What's yours?
Bop, bop.
Papa.
Bop, bop.
Bop, bop?
Bop, bop.
Oh, bop, bop.
Yep.
Kind of a Blippy Papa crossover there.
Exactly.
How many of our viewers know what Blippy is? Do you know what Blippy is?
No.
Okay, well, just check out my Facebook. I dress like him. It's Asher's favorite human.
Oh.
He's a quasi-weird guy, wears really weird clothes, but it's really kind of boy stuff that he does, so it's cool. But anyway, let's get into NFR round 9. You've got your day sheet. This is what in case you're watching, this is it. It's got everything on it. That's her notes.
I have sheets like this for every day, so I guess it would be, tonight will be number 370 because I started in 87.
Do you keep them all? Really?
As my kids can attest, I have every day sheet since 1987.
Now that's cool.
There's going to be a heck of a bonfire when I die.
That should be a book. You should bind that.
Bind it and sell it.
As long as you know that all your notes, you don't.
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't want to have to screen them or censor them. But one thing I'll say before we start talking about last night's rodeo is, when I say the stories come to me, this is a typical thing that Kendra moment that went on more than a moment last night. So the two people that I've really just noticeably absent for me this year that I've so missed watching have been Casey Field and Jade Corkill. And I texted Jade's grandpa, Pops, Bill Corkill, their patriarch. He passed away on Wednesday, and we're all, blowing and going on a doubleheader here at the NFR. But, Jade, their family is very, very tight. And, Pops and Bun Bun are, I've camped at their place before with my kids when we went to a rodeo, back when my boys were of age. But he died. And for a family to lose their patriarch, that's big. And I have two 85-year-old parents, so, every day is a gift. But so I text Jade, I really miss seeing you. And not only did, we talked about Pops for a little bit in our text exchange and how, Jade, the things Pop taught him about life and the things that he now wants to pass on to his 3 sons and the things that matter the most. And perspective also about, not being here. He's a 13-time, and a NFR qualifier and one of the co-owners of the 3.3 second world record. No, there's no conversation about healing goats without Jade Corkill's name mentioned. So out of this conversation comes, I'm like, how you doing not being here? And he said, at first, right before the rodeo started, he said it's a little harder than I thought it might be. And now he's like, I'm fine with it. And it may or may not, I'm guessing there's some perspective that comes with losing your patriarch about the big things in life. But here's the smoker that comes out of this conversation is that Jade's not going to rodeo anymore. That I'm like, what?
Really, he's done.
That was not what I expected to come out of this conversation. And his feeling is, he's had his fun, and his oldest son Colby wants to do it, and he wants to be there like his parents for him to do everything under the sun to help him get there. And so his plan is not to show up at Odessa and Denver and San Antonio and Houston. Never say never. I mean, things do every once in a while change. But as of right now, he says he has total peace about not burning up the roads anymore.
That's cool. That's cool if it's not your identity and you can't walk away. And I think that's the case with Casey. Now, Colby, how old's he?
Colby, gosh, I shouldn't say it. My guess is he must be 12-ish just by his size, but I don't know exactly. Yeah. But he's coming on. And really cool is out of the blue, everyone, I got a video of Clay Cooper, everyone's hero amongst healers, heading at a roping for Colby Corkill. That's the kind of stuff that's happening now. It's Circle of Life rodeo family stuff, but it's really, really cool. Anyway, that's a big deal. So,
did Casey did you connect with Casey?
A little bit. Casey is blowing and going with his next chapter. And if you don't think that Casey Field isn't going to be a super achiever in the next phase of business and life, he's applying everything that sent him to the top. That he's not going to be outworked or he's not going to be outthought, and he's putting that into some new ventures and going all in. And he didn't show up out here to do some things he needed to do here till Saturday, the first Saturday, because he's got so much going on at home. So good for him,
Yeah,
Not
fantastic.
to mention his family, which means everything, just like Louis did to him. So really cool. You want to just dive on into the rodeo and the third round win, 87 points for Rocker Steiner?
Yeah. Again, I think congratulations, Rocker. You can see that horse really fit him, right? It fit him. But that was, I think, in my opinion, one of his best rides on a horse that maybe he would have had trouble with a year ago, even on the corner. And so congratulations to Rocker.
Well, and remember, Ty Murray just said to me within this last few days, I have never in my life seen anyone work as hard at his craft as Rucker Steiner has at his. Never anyone ever.
Really?
That's pretty tall praise.
I didn't remember you telling that. Is
well,
tall
I may or
praise.
not have said it, but it did happen. And so,
wow. And you wouldn't.
It's not like, he just lucked into this, dynasty family and, just showed up, from his wakeboarding days and just scooted on over into the next arena. He worked his ass off.
But that needs to be said.
Yes.
Because people's perception, right, of this package needs to know that kid, it's not by chance that he's
right. He's gone all in on his, on his getting there. So there's that. And then worthy of mention, they spotlighted something that's never happened before that happened here last year. Last night they spotlighted the Butler family, and 3 generations stepped forward to be recognized. That last year here, the first ever trifecta of bareback, saddle bronc, and bull of the finals, they swept it last year here, and that was recognized last night. And that was a cool moment with 3 generations of Butlers out there in the arena. So that was cool. Benny being the assistant general manager here,
right,
the finals.
Right. That's cool. They're a legacy. That's a legacy group
for sure.
That's still shining.
And I mean, his son, his sisters, his grandpa, his uncles, generations of all-in rodeo people.
I still miss Kirsten and think that HV should have something here on the record. Here we go.
Fair. Okay. Cody Devers. I always say Devers. The announcers are saying Devers. I'm not sure. It might be like Hedeman, Hedman. But, that guy, he's at his second NFR here. And his first one was absolutely miserable because he had a torn pec and people were ripping him like, this guy can't bulldog. How did he get here? And he was so physically impaired that it wasn't even fair. And so here he is. And he's kind of had a miserable, first 8 rounds. For him to win the round last night, 3-5, that was really, really cool. And he did make a horse change. We talk about horse changes and sort of like whatever it takes. And you get to the later going, and he got on a horse they call Baby. And it was really heartwarming to see that for someone who's had pure hell here at the NFR 18 times in a row.
Yeah. Well, and you kind of leapfrogged me, so I'm going to take a quick step back to the bareback riding to talk about the average and the world champion. So I kind of put notes here, and I've got battle, meaning you've got guys on 9 head, Jess Pope leading in the average with a 767, Keenan Hayes with a 760 on 9, and Saunier with a 756 on 9. So if you look at it, if one of these guys were to get thrown off, remember, one of these guys were to win a round and the aggregate, that's $100,000. So you can look at these current dollars, and if everything worked right, guy ahead of you gets chunked, you win first, you then win the average, that's $100,000. That gives you the big buckle.
It's fun when it's not a done deal going into the 10th round. It's sort of like, this is why we play the game.
Oh, no,
and
it's real in the bareback ride.
And it makes it just amps it up a little bit more to be fun.
If Jess does what Jess has done for 9 times now, he goes out there and he's in the top 3 to 5. He's got it. But stub your toe. So we'll keep going. And then in the steer wrestling, you've got Payne with a 40.7 on 9, Brown with a 42 on 9, Guy with a 43.5 on 9. So if you look at the world standings, really, Dalton Massey has this to lose.
Right. And Dalton was late last night, which, this is his first finals, and he has bulldogged amazing. But man, the start got him last night. But Don Payne, of course I sit with Oat, and Don Payne has been solid as a rock, and he's riding Trevor Nelson's horse, Dr. Pepper, that blaze-faced horse, and his brother Grady is over there on the other side hazing for him, and that guy has been, here he is at his first finals, and he has just been on point. No major toe stubbings. Absolutely.
Solid.
Yes.
Solid.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, anything else on the steer wrestling before
No. Let's go
rock?
on into the steer twisters.
Okay, so
I just got a shout out. My friend, I call him Sharp Nose. In case you don't know, his name's Chuck Kite. Works for Servy. He's flanking. He thinks he's pretty cool. He's standing there with his thumbs in his pocket. Wisconsin boy. So good morning, Sharp Nose. Stuff's bucking. Not any help with the flank man there, but the stuff can evidently buck when you screw up. Good. We'll see you in Denver, champ. We're going to need animals on the finale, so don't start whining now. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get back in.
It's all good. Hello. So Big A and Todd, the hammer's in their hand in the average. If they stop the clock tonight, they're the average champs. And those guys, for being the front runners where all you have to do is catch now, they, you can't rattle those guys, but they have gone for it to win something in night after night and make their trip worth it here too. That's been...
Well, there's an interesting thing that happens. Correct me if I'm wrong. But these guys are used to going for it, and then you get told all you have to do is catch. And we see this even on the different level at the World Series, right? Where all they got to do, they're the number one callback. They just got to make the same run that they make all the time, and they can't do it because I think the problem is, and Begay and them won't do it, you can't step out of that I got to win mindset. Right? I think then you get in this limbo area.
Well, what everyone has said, forever here in that little building, to stay aggressive is your easiest, best, most consistent play, because if you miss the barrier, that those buck and shoots come really fast and it's easy to panic. And so what those guys realize, I remember Cody Snow's telling this. He grew up in the motorhome with Lane and Taylor and I quite a bit. But he said, he was winning all these rounds. And by the way, he roped with Jade Corkill this year. We miss seeing him here too. But he said, when you get a start here, your throw is right there and it's easy. That's your easiest shot.
Yeah.
So Begay and Todd, they're, wily veterans straight out of the hills, and that point is not lost on them. But in the World Championship race, Tyler Wade and Wesley Thorpe, they call him T Wade, and him and that bay horse are renowned for turning really fast steers in this building. And, those guys 3-5 last night, won another round, and they took the lead in the world, right? And so
let me check.
I thought T Wade
I need to check.
I thought that was right. Anyway, the team roping race has been nothing but fun. Tanner Tomlinson and Patrick Smith were 3-6 last night of note. After they set the NFR average record here last year, they haven't had the finals that they were looking for this year, but 3-6 was absolutely amazing. They are in the lead.
They are now, but if you think about this, Begay and them are at 180,000. Begay's at 180,000. Let's take him with Clint Summers at 227. Again, with that $80,000 first place average, you put 80 on top of Begay's 180. That puts him at 260, right? 360. No.
260.
260. So.
Well, I haven't had the time to burn up a calculator, but those guys,
sure.
Their math is smoking in their brains.
And so, well, it seems I could, again, this is my first time to do a podcast and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. But it feels to me like if you give Begay $80,000 and he play, even if he doesn't place, I think they get the big buckle.
It really depends on what Clint and Wesley do.
So if they win $30,000 in that round, yeah,
it could be close.
It's up in the air.
When it's all said and done here, it's so fun. Or right before, like the tunnel those guys ride in and into every night is right outside the door, the back door of the NFR press room, which is the NFR press room is the UNLV practice basketball court down at the timed event end. And so, fun is to step out there and these guys, they know to the penny if this, and they're back there watching on this tiny little monitor and adjusting their game plan for round 10.
That's cool.
As it goes. Yes. And, some of them are, you can watch them. Luke Brown right now is thinking about the money he can win in the average, which, he's been really tough. But like last night, and sitting as I do every night this year with his family, he's thinking about the average now. Stop the clock. He was 6 last night. Yep. Intentionally, he's not going to hickey a horn. He's not going to, everything is like, hello. So that's what he's thinking. He's thinking about money.
At some point when our podcast grows, Greg, we'll have a statistician like they do at the NBC NFL that's just sitting there, and we won't have to. Like you need a pretty big spreadsheet here. Uh-oh. We got video bombed by... Hey, I got a question for you. I learned yesterday. Talking to Flint Rasmussen.
This is...
Kendra corrected me. OG. What does that stand for?
It's something about the original... but
Gangster. Gangster.
See, I went with goat, not
He said
correct.
old goat.
It's original gangster?
Yes.
Yeah. Original gangster. So, hey.
I just know OG.
He said old goat.
I said old goat.
Not that
She's
would
like,
fit.
No, you're wrong.
Old and grumpy?
Yeah.
I
Gangster.
I had to Google it. I'm not going to lie. But anyway.
Good to see you.
Good to
I
see
knew
you
it was
guys.
an old goat.
You guys go see him. Last show for him and Big Kurt. Head home. All right, here we go.
So let's go move along to the bronc riding. Okay, so Zeke Thurston strikes again. That the pace on what was he, 88.5?
Yeah.
The
88.
pace and on a Calgary Stampede horse, no less, Zeke being from Big Valley, Alberta. The pace of that ride was so cool to watch. You know, those guys, it's like they're
That wasn't the coolest thing about that ride.
Well, to me though, sometimes it's, there's big lunges and the fact that those guys have to adjust to be the best dance partner with that horse to show it all off.
In case you didn't notice, that Calgary horse stalled in the chutes.
Oh yeah, he gave her the
Zeke
gut hook.
drops. So remember, you've got to mark that horse out. You got to have your feet up. He drops his feet down to the belly of the horse, cowboys up, gives him a cue to let's go. The horse busts out. He marks him out. That is cowboy-esque right there.
It was ranchy.
That is real.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, he's got. I don't think you're going to. He is just there, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, if he gets bucked off, he's got issues, but I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. No. Yeah, he kind of has the hammer in his hand.
He's cool.
And he's in the lead. Okay, so after 9.
So in the average, you got Zeke with 776.5 on 9. Brody behind him was 771 on 9. And in the world standings, Zeke's at 375 and Newman's at 344.
So you want to sit in Zeke's seat right now.
Yeah.
And what did he say last night after this all happens again? Oh, I'm just drawing good horses and making good rides, all in a day's work. So
Yeah, well,
pretty cool.
He's been a cut above, and it's showing. He really has. He's been really, really great.
There were a couple things. Lefty Holman's horse fell on him, and then he took a re-ride and was 87 and a half. That was that was pretty
great.
cool to watch. I'm sure he scuffed up those white boots, but that was cool. And Leighton Green, he was 66 and a half, but that guy's soared up in a big way. And, kind of like Oren Larson, although Oren didn't look as sore last night.
It was like Oren, what did he go to rehab?
Something.
I mean, because he looked totally different.
I know. There's something here, and I don't know, but there's something here that the Cowboys have been telling me that they have like 2 free passes to some place where you can get an IV.
Yeah, that's that. They got it at Rodeo Rehab. You can buy.
Okay.
They'll come to your room for a fee.
Okay,
and and hydrate you.
But I don't know what the new definition is, but the buzz with the Cowboys is I got the Jesus shot. And I don't know exactly what that means right at this moment, because in the past I've heard about that. When Jake Barnes got the, quote, Jesus shot, I asked Tandy about it. Again, I have coffee with Tandy right before the rodeo every night in the press room. And when I asked him about that 5 years ago, before Jake, he was hobbling around before he got his knee replaced, and Tandy, the definition at that time of the Jesus shot, he said, do not do it. It will wreck your liver. Hi, Billy. Billy Epbauer. So maybe there's a new definition, I'm hoping, because what Tandy was saying was you're not supposed to put anti-inflammatory medication into your bloodstream. So maybe there's a new safe version of calling it that, but interesting wording.
This was the first time I heard about the Jesus shot called that way. Was Sage's dad. I saw Mr. Kimsey in the hall, and he's having some problems with his back.
NFR Barrelman, right?
Yeah,
back in the
NFR
day.
Barrelman.
Yeah.
And he said he was having some problems with his back. He said, I got the Jesus shot. It didn't do nothing for me. And so, again, it'd be interesting. We'll have to research that. We'll have to find out what it
I'm hoping that there's a safer, new, modern-day version.
Because I thought maybe it was they can put the stuff in your joints that rehabs them now, that they get from umbilical cords. Do you know
the stem cells?
Yeah, the stem cell. I was thinking all along maybe it was that, but I don't know.
The Cowboys have kind of explained it to me over time as sort of like a mainlining a horse with Banamine.
Like
Banamine, maybe, they just kind of feel, it just kind of feel a little bit better.
It was like a Jesus shot in the day.
Yeah, I think Banamine is for horses, but Codiol may or may not have applied it to humans. But anyway, okay.
I did Butte. and it works. Okay.
So I don't know what that does to your liver, but we'll keep rolling. So, okay, Weston Hughes and Tuff Cooper won the tie down last night. They were both 7-1. Weston Hughes is a hustler, and I heard Joe Beaver call him the Tasmanian Devil, and that's a fair. And you know what I think is so cool about that kid is, like, even if he needs to use 2 loops or his calf kicks or whatever it is, he's ingrained that he is never going to stop hustling to move forward, like with everything.
Finish.
You will never see him, slow down, throw his head back, whatever. And even if he's 23.8 seconds, when he's done,
I know.
It's
like I'm going to finish hard.
Absolutely. And somehow, some way, that's in his mind. His mindset is never stop moving and hustling and trying your heart out. And when you get one that will allow it, you're 7-1. And Tuff Cooper has been, a lot of people feel like his old self here this week, and he had a hiccup a couple nights ago, had a no time, but
Well, I was watching Tuff's run, and while it was happening, in my mind, I'm not even contemplating that he's going to win anything. I mean, it looked so smooth, and then the time pops up, and I'm like, that was so much faster than it caught me off guard.
And just as when Ryder Wright and Kai Hamilton ride, my eyes, peripheral vision, I watch them, but my eyes stay on the back of that chute to watch Stetson jumping up and down like a crazy person. And when Tuff Cooper ropes, I have eyes from where Oat and I sit on Tiffany and his mom Sherry and baby girl True Fashion Cooper, who is aptly named and adorable. And I also, right kind of off to the left, back behind the announcers, I also have eyes on Pops, who is, Super Looper Roy Cooper.
Right.
And it's really cool for me to, having seen Tuff grow up and the relationship with his dad, when things go right like they did last night, and when those two just make eye contact, it's really special.
Right.
And Roy does not clap if it's not earned. And to see him clap and just the joyous, smile on his face, and Tuff to just kind of look at him like, Pops, we did it. That was fun.
Well, and so you've got in the average, Haven has got a 68.7 on 9 head.
He was 7 and again last night, by the way.
Those guys, him and Riley are nails, and it's those two. Riley right behind him with a 72, and we're talking about the average here on 9. That's a little bigger gap than I anticipated between those two for the average. And then you look at the world standings, and coming in here, you almost had to bet on Riley all the way. And all of a sudden, I've got big notes battle. I mean, Haven and Riley, you got Haven at 388K for the year, and you got Haven at 332. It is not even close to over.
It's cool, and Haven is just dialed in his mind. Like he is zero back down. Like he is fearless on night after night after night. Remember, he was winning the average when he set a new NFR record at 6'4", and here he's 7'8" again last night. And remember also, Haven is one of the rarefied air few who, in 2019, he's the college champ, he's the rookie of the year, and he wins his first gold buckle, as a rookie, and that doesn't happen to very many people. No, rephrase. Not very many people are able to make that happen, and Joe Beaver's one of them, who made that happen. But Haven is not one to crack, and he's not. I enjoyed Brittany and Garrett Tanazi and Haven and Shelby, his new world champion breakaway roper wife, or not a brand new wife, but brand new crown champion. In 2021, Oat and I left here, and we were headed straight from here to Texas for the Cowtown Christmas Rodeo. And I am a iced tea freak, so we stopped at McDonald's, which I love to whip through. And in McDonald's, leaving here in 2021, there's Haven and Shelby at McDonald's, wiped out, no makeup,
Just a
dirty
burger.
clothes.
Just give me a burger.
Getting, and they had both finished second in the world, and I'm like, you guys, that was a pretty good week, and they're like, we were both second. We lost. Was their attitude. They were eating McDonald's hamburgers because second was not first. And so it's, now Shelby closed the deal, and Haven's not going to get left in the tracks without trying. So that's been super fun.
Well, and I don't know the exact time that it will take, how fast he has to be tonight to set an all-time
record
in
Yep.
the average.
Hanchi, I think, owns it, and Haven's all about it because he wants to place in the round and set that record and win the world. And so he's got his foot mashed to the floorboard.
If you're not watching this battle between him and Riley, Riley has done, again, we are watching these young guys mature in front of us, and I'm a Riley fan. I really am.
I am too.
He's one of my favorite. And so I just, it'll be nails tonight.
Yes,
nails.
Absolutely. And Riley is roped so smart this week too. And so, more power to the both of them. Shall we scoot to the barrel race?
Fast.
Cassie Mowry.
Fast.
Okay, so how fast? 13:37?
They were fast. 13:37.
Yeah, the very last. Brittany goes very last and it's 13:68. So we know that Brittany has it clinched.
Yep.
And I'll also say, again, it's been sad that Tacey Matthews, star Horse of the Year, Pop Rocks, could not make the trip. But she's been running this little Palomino Stoli most of the finals. She's 5 years old, and all I can say is that sitting next to a bulldogger, Oat wants to run Stoli by some steers, and so
well, I can imagine.
As my old dad, who's a horse doctor and cowboy, he's like, a good horse is a good horse, and I promise you, just as the pickup horse of the year that Tyler Kraft owns, Baby, is a head horse and a barrel horse, Stoli could be every kind of horse that you could want. So, but Cassie Mowry, we already pointed out that she, the last couple of years, has gone to 20-something rodeos to be here. The horse she's riding here, Force the Goodbye, that's the registered name, Force the Goodbye. She calls him Jarvis. This is his third rodeo ever.
What's interesting about her, if you read up, she wins all derbies, futurities. This rodeo's one of multiple platforms that she focuses on. Right. So, and 2 in a row for her. But again, they're still doing the same thing, right? It's just here at a rodeo, and she knows what she's doing, and a trainer. It's interesting to me. I think that I have a little bit more. It's not fair to say respect, but I root for those people that are riding a horse they trained.
It's very cool.
That they trained, and there's nothing against those that are getting on someone else's horse. I'm not
right,
but still, it's just a little bit of a more silver feather for me if that's happening.
Yeah, it's very, very cool, and it's been so interesting. Chongo, Emily Beisel's Chongo has been an absolute stud, not literally, but a stud at the NFR, and she's won so many go-rounds on him. And Liza, her mare, has stepped up. Of course, she won Sioux Falls on Liza, but she rode Chongo, who's usually her go-to at the NFR, in the first round and the 9th round, and hit barrels both of those rounds. I would bet just about anything that she'll be back on Liza tonight. But when you also have, more than one layer in your herd, and we saw it with Brittany Posey Tanazi on Wednesday when there's a double header, bringing in Birdie, giving Benny, the morning off. So Benny's made 9 runs. She'll be back on Benny again tonight, but she has now placed in all but 1 round, I think, and is dominating the average and has already won the world. So,
and we also got if I saw the graphic right, and I did not look this up, but I'm pretty sure Lisa Lockhart, either last night or with money tonight, is an all-time top earner.
You're right. So last night, Lisa and Levy strike again for some good money. She passed Sherry Servey on the all-time earnings list, and there's this trio of the ultimate elite, right? And so now the order is, and these are the only 3 that are over $3 million in earnings. But now Lisa just moved to number 1 in all-time barrel racing career earnings. So she's number 1, Sherry's number 2, and Brittany's number 3. And so also, if Brittany is 14:16 or faster, she's going to set a new NFR average record tonight. And so
And
the odds are excellent. Oh, also, Brittany took the lead in the Top Gun. She passed Kai Hamilton, who bucked off last night.
Oh.
So there's that also. And I mean, she's got the commanding lead in the average set to set a record. But on the Top Gun, to be clear, you don't get a free truck. You get a $20,000 voucher toward a new truck.
that buys the tires and the rims. For real? Okay, well, there you go. $20,000 on a $80,000 truck. Cool, better than nothing. Better than
Absolutely.
nothing. Now, here's what's interesting for me with Lisa. That kind of career success and no world champion.
Isn't that interesting? That speaks of her consistency like none other.
It does, and I hope she keeps with it. I'd love to see her have that gold sometime. I'm sure there's millions that would, but I did not realize that till last night, and I was like, wow, to be in the top 3 and not have the big buckle, right? I mean,
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Really, it is, because Sherry's got 4, and now is this going to be 3? This is 3 for Brittany, so that is. And also, Lisa's the nicest. She's so gracious and happy for everyone. She's always smiling, and she's like, she works so hard, as do they all. They're out there morning till after sundown.
And again, I'm not, but everybody wants to say hi to Lisa, right? Her good humanness just pours out, and it's so organic and authentic, and you don't have to wonder if she means it when she says, "What can I do to help you?"
She's very happy to cheer for.
She's great.
And she's the first one to congratulate and hug Brittany for her gold buckle. You know, that's just who she is.
She's Top Gun for sure.
Okay, so in the bull riding, we have the veteran, 89 points for Jeff Askey on Salt River's belly dump. Jeff Askey is the oldest bull rider here. He's 35, and I think he's got 4 years over the next oldest or something like that.
Definitely the veteran
in the locker room. But so what we know from seeing some of the fun videos that we get to see outside of the arena is like, in the locker room, in the bull riders' locker room, Jeff Askey is sitting there with the same look on his face when this, I don't even know what you call this crazy music these kids listen to, but anyway, the same kind of look on his face as Tim O'Connell has in the bareback riding locker room when Jaco Roper is in charge of the jukebox, for example, right? So it's, and Jeff Askey, he's had a hip replacement and come back from that. I mean, that's, 35 years old for a bull rider, and you've had your hip replaced, and you're taking a victory lap at the NFR is pretty cool.
Good to see him take some money home. You want these guys to take something home, right, with them. So good to see. But when we're looking, so we've got to look at this. The average, Kai Hamilton, 5:14 on 6. He's ridden 6 out of 9, and Sage with a 4:37 on 5. So it looks to me like nobody's taken the big buckle from Kai.
Well, and there was a really scary thing happened last night with Kai. The bull went down in the front, and when he got up, he caught Kai under his left, free arm with his head.
Yeah, he rocked him over, over his head.
It scared me. I was hoping, his shoulder was okay, whatever. The Justin Sports Medicine report did say, basically, Kai was hurting last night, but it was an aggravation of that broken rib, back from round... Which round? Round 5?
The helicopter knockout.
The helicopter, yeah. So
protocol.
Anyway, if Kai Hamilton pulls this one off, this is going to be one for his grandchildren. Because
if I had to predict, with the amount of adrenaline and what he showed that morning, he'll be nothing but spades tonight. Right, and then deal with it after.
Right.
Now, I thought the same thing. He just if you've ever had a broken rib, you can't sneeze without wetting yourself.
Right.
These guys are getting on bulls, and then he takes a head to the same area.
Right.
And you could tell. Now, what worried me at first, and I saw Tandy trailing him. Well, we all know about ribs right,
Yes.
in history.
Yes.
I saw, and that's all I'm thinking when he's heading up that
Let's
tunnel.
just say it. We're talking Lane Frost, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and when you
Pierced
see a
his
guy
heart with a broken
walk,
rib.
walk, and then go down in the tunnel, my
Right.
heart just
Right.
panicked.
Right.
And maybe that's not needed, but it scares the daylight.
You can't
out of me.
help it, especially if it's sort of like PTSD for those of us who've seen things like Lane Frost die in
Yep.
front of our eyes. And so, for
I'm glad
sure.
it's just aggravated.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It wasn't like it displaced it or cracked it in half or anything like that. But I mean, the pain.
Well,
Anyway.
that's our wrap up. So we will we're arguing about this, us two, us three, but really us two. So Kendra would like us to do a wrap up of the NFR next week. If you want us to do a wrap up, because Tommy Joe wants to take off until the first of the year.
Suck it up.
So if you're a no spinner and you want us to do a wrap up, I will commit. If there's, I will jump on your bandwagon if some no spinners reach out and say, we need this last wrap up. But in that, so that's debatable on what we're going to do here. I do want to, Dan Shaw, who's the chairman of the Utah Days of 47, I've been wanting to get this in for 10 rounds. He's on the Henderson City Council. So he's very well connected. And I thought this was interesting for us NFR people that are here. There's a couple interesting things that are happening in Vegas. One is they've approved, and there will be a high-speed rail 2 hours from L.A. here and back. So 2 hours one way. So what a way to come to the NFR if you can jump on a train.
It's cool, but I don't know how many NFR fans live in LA. It's the only thing. Like, I live hours from LA, so it won't help
might not
somebody
make
like
sense
me.
to
But
some.
I mean, it's super cool that that's going to happen because if nothing else, it'll help with the traffic for all the rest of us.
And if you were wondering about the construction on I-15, I have a date of completion. So it should be done in 2035. So
About as long as the NFR is scheduled to run out.
So that's as long as the contract extension. And the other cool thing is, as Vegas is showing their due, the A's baseball team are moving to Vegas. New stadium to be built for the A's. So those are kind of big things.
That's kind of a big deal for me as a girl who grew up going to A's games with my grandparents.
Yeah, so they're coming here, and they'll have the Raiders and the A's here in Vegas.
Oakland lost everything.
Yeah, well, have you been to Oakland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
I know.
And listen, it's proven now. If you look at that bridge, right, for the NFL games, this is a perfect place if you're a fan that doesn't live right in the home seat of your favorite team. You come to Vegas for 2 days, you stay in the hotel, you walk across the bridge, you experience it. They've got a model here that's working.
Yeah, you get your money's worth in 24 hours in Vegas, that's for sure.
That is good. Well, so I wanted to just take one chance and ask both of you, all three of us. I'd like you to pick, and you can think about it, a moment in the last 14 days that we've all been here in Vegas. A moment, and it could be anything. It could have been in the Thomas and Mack. It could have been at the Shake Shack. A moment that you will carry home with you and think about when you're on your way home as you're reminiscing from the NFR. Greg, let's start with you.
I had two that kind of stick with me. The first one was the breakaway, the second day of the breakaway. Just the amount, the girls just roping their hearts out, and the 1-7s, and it was just it was a good show to be part of. The other thing was when your brother got his, announcer of the year, and just the being part of the inside of that and seeing how you reacted to it and the way he handled it. I was thankful to be part of that.
That's cool.
I'd love to name two also, but to comment on yours, the breakaway. I was there that day on the second day of the breakaway finals to cover that, and it ended up I ended up doing a pivot instead of covering. Shelby Boisley Medja winning her first finals, ended up, breaking the fact that there was a live shooter on the UNLV campus. And by the way, Shelby's getting ready to rope the second day for a gold buckle, and her husband's on lockdown at Grand Entry practice over at the Thomas and Mack, and there were some, scary moments. Like she was saying yesterday that she and Cheyenne Guillory, who won the average at the breakaway finals, they huddled praying that Haven would be okay over there. So there's that. So my two, I think, most special moments for me, one is that my son Lane and his wife Jane brought my first grandbaby Charlie girl over here just to go to the Wednesday morning performance, and I got to take my granddaughter at my 37th NFR. I got to take her down to the press room, and she got to meet people like Dusty Tuckness, and the pickup man, and some of my cowboy friends, held her, and she was checking out the jewelry on Kennedy Riggs, Miss Rodeo America. That was really, really fun. And then on the most, heart-wrenching moment or whatever was the morning at 1:38 in the morning that I get awakened by a text, the light, and I turn the ringer off, but the light from a text wakes me up, and it's the picture from the UMC Trauma Center of J.B. Mooney, Stetson Wright, and Dusty Tuckness in that room with Kai Hamilton, who had little probes all over his, he didn't have anything and no shirt on or whatever, but those guys huddling up over, being there for him. And then the next morning when Kai rides his bull, and the first thing he does is walk over and touch Tuckness right over, where his heart beats.
Yep.
That's the one for me.
Well, you guys those are good. You kind of stole my two. So I had two also. One was when I got the call from Chase, my son, in the fan zone that, Dad, there's an active shooter here. What do we do? Same thing, right? I praise God that they were safe, and so I was scared to death, and that was one. And then, I produced the awards banquet, and I intentionally will not allow the PRCA to give me the winners, even though I produce it. And I tell them I don't want to know, because I can't tell you, since I've started producing it, how many of these folks call me and go, should we buy a ticket? We don't know if we want to come. No. And I want to be able to look them in the eye and say, I don't know. So with a little background on this, last year, Anthony says...
Your brother.
Yeah, my brother, Anthony Lucia. He was nominated last year. And again, I didn't know. And he said, do you think I'm going to win? And I said, no. Just like that. I said, this is your first time to be nominated. You're one of the younger guys in the game. It doesn't work that way here, politically, frankly, right? Sometimes people win because they've been there the longest, or they're the most recognizable name in the vote. So again, he's nominated this year, and he knows not to ask me, right? And I had the same mindset. It's not Anthony, like in my head, right? And I'm standing behind there calling the show, and Greg was on call with me, calling the next feature, next thing that we got to do, because you're a couple ahead, and they announce it, and Greg probably heard me say on the comm, oh my God, right? And tears start going, and very, very proud of Anthony. And just like you said with Rocker, Anthony works his butt off all the time. And he loves this sport more. Like I would match him with you, Kendra, on just sheer passion about every part of this. And so Anthony winning announcer of the year, and, thank God that, I pray for the three that were tragedies in that shooting. And I'm very, very thankful, right, that it didn't spread further and there wasn't more loss of life. So those were my two moments.
It was handled incredibly. And on a politically incorrect, I don't know if this is a comment or a question, but because I'm thinking it, I have to say it. it is curious to me that in recent years, the announcer of the year is not announcing the NFR. Just saying.
Well, remember that the NFRC, there's a committee, that this is a rodeo that pays the prize money. Like the Las Vegas, they're the committee. They put the prize money up. The PRCA doesn't. So they decide who they want as personnel. And that's why I think that some of these positions at the NFR, where they get buckles and stuff that are voted, right? And they're put in there, like the pickup men and things like that. And then there's some positions that the committee decides. Now, I'm just going to say it. You know, it's their choice. That doesn't always mean, I don't agree that they always have the best people in all the positions, but they have the best people for them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think there's note taken and agree.
Well, I mean,
but it's their choice, and that's the way it goes. That's almost like the crossfire with Coleman Proctor.
I would also love to mention another family here so Josh Hilton worked his first NFR as the music. Hambone Hilton worked his first NFR as the music man, and of huge note is the fact that his brother Andy, in a jumpsuit that says NFR and Preferred on the back of it, that looks like the coveralls my dad used as a horse vet my whole life. He pushed every single calf and every single steer so that everybody would get the fairest possible out here in the timed events. And talk about a dirty job. But those two brothers brought a lot to this rodeo.
Homegrown Iowa family, right? Start down at the bottom, been a part of that rodeo in Iowa forever, and have been around and willing to do whatever.
Yes. And I don't know what Andy Hilton gets paid to push the cattle. I do know, because my son's roped here, that the team ropers, calf ropers, and bulldoggers typically traditionally tip that person. And
Good.
Talk about important.
Yeah.
You know, I hope he's got a wad full of hundreds. You know, so.
Yeah. And I thought Hambone did a great job on music. You know, and that, you know, I had a conversation with Benji real quick. You know, you're looking at a guy that was there for 20-something years, and I think, you know, it's always hard. It's hard, right, if you're not there, just like you talked about the guys that aren't here, you know, experiencing that. And my comment to Benji is that takes nothing away from what you are and what you've been, right? You know, Benji's great. One of the best ever. So is Hambone. You know, I think there's four guys, and from the music perspective, we have that are definitely talented enough to be at the NFR, and equally so with announcers.
I'm starting to show my age also on the music, because I listen to a lot of it. And for years, I would watch the old timers and laugh because they'd bring like earplugs and stuff because the music is so loud. And as we keep evolving with the music, I don't even know what to call the music is that they play like in those locker rooms. I don't even know what it is, but I'm like classic rock and roll. I'm showing my age, but
well, me too. And Hambone's style is I say he's a little heavier. It's a little more steel, but that's a little more what current players like, and it's different for me. It's different, and it's hard as a producer, right? You have to evolve into stuff that
we keep evolving, but
right, and so it's hard, but it's different. But that doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
And by the way, every little step that we as a group take towards embracing our heritage and experiencing the future is growth. Both growing and preserving at the same time.
Right.
Hard to do.
And it's always impossible to make everybody happy on every single tiny detail, but as long as we keep raising the rodeo bar for the sport, you know, keep those payoffs going up and keep doing, you know, the people that keep track of that performance to the second, and then those pre and post production meetings, like it is the well-oiled machine that is this rodeo is like none other.
And hats off to Alan Reinheimer, the GM, their staff and crew. I was just, when you were saying that, I'm like, I should shout out those, all of them, all the way, we brag on Randy the Dirt Guy, but Alan manages everybody, and every single piece of this thing is at a level of Super Bowl. Sorry, but it is. It's done right. It's done well. It's well managed. And by the way, the attitudes and culture are great out there, which I like too. I like seeing people that are happy to be there, right? And that feel like they're managed in that they have the ability to go out there and do it, and Alan does that with them. So great job.
It's a
everybody.
privilege for all of us to be a part of this, and to get to be down in those tunnels and to pass the contestants and the stock contractors, and there are the things that's like, I walked the first day every year when I walk down that tunnel that goes, the hallways, you go from the press room and around the hallway, around the corner, there's the stock contractors room. Then you turn the corner, you pass the Justin Sports Medicine room. And when I walk down that little tunnel that leads to the back of the rough stock chutes, the buck and chutes, I see that stretcher sitting there, which is always sort of haunting to me that it's right there where it's, where they position it. And I see that trash can, and all I can think is that's the trash can that for all those years, bullfighting great Joe Baumgartner, before the bull riding every single night, would stop and puke in that trash can before he ran into that arena every single night. And these are the flashbacks that are special, but the access we have is just to be absolutely treasured, and I'm so grateful.
I am grateful, and I would be amiss if I didn't shout out to my Piranha team. Greg Teagarden, who sits there. This isn't all that he does. We've done 6 different events, including the Fan Zone. Oh, look at her putting her. That's for you. That's one of your gifts. It's for Oat, actually. I don't know that it'll fit his log, but anyway. Oh, head. Anyway, shout out to Greg. Does 8 or 10 things. Shout out to my team: Rusty Bradbury, Tyson, all of my team: Andy Jensen, Jamie Brown. Between
you guys are the 24/7 crew.
Yeah, between World Series and PRCA Fan Zone out front, and all the breakaway and the awards banquets. Hats off to the Piranha team.
And thank you for the VIP treatment given to these contestants, wives, moms, girlfriends at the back number ceremony, not to be overshadowed by every single 1,058 things that you've done here this week, but that was so appreciated. They're grateful, and we're hoping that that's a new long-standing tradition. Tip of the airborne to you.
You betcha. Well, that's it for us here at Live in Vegas. Thank you all for joining us. She's cool. He's cooler. I'm Tommy Joe. Y'all be blessed. Remember what Christmas is all about. There was a baby Jesus that came for us. Y'all enjoy the holidays. Kiss the ones you love. We'll see you maybe in a week. You better let us know. That's it for No Spin Rodeo.
Thank you.